Good evening and welcome to the Monday, August 5th, 2013 meeting of the Parks and Recreation Commission. First item on the agenda is item number 1, public forum. Seeing no one from the public here, no one wishing to speak, we'll move on to item number 2, staff and director reports. In order to expedite this, as we have done in the past, does anybody have any questions or issues with the reports that have been provided? Hearing none, we'll move on to Terry. Are you ready?
Well, kind of with Rick. So.
Okay, Terry and Rick gonna have
See how we're-
a brief little chat about what's going on with the seniors right now.
Take it, so why don't you?
These papers are coming around, and some of them are germane to the, I'll put those on the top. One of each, please.
Yeah, just, we want to just bring up a couple of things, and we don't expect we can make any decisions tonight, but maybe have a little introductory conversation about bus policy and, where do we go with our buses, how far do we go, and I think what's being handed out, Terry can go over it more, but it gives you a little bit of detail on, if you look at, wait till everybody gets it. But basically, the couple of issues are that we've increased our bus numbers a lot by numbers of passengers, numbers of trips. And I think I mentioned in the last meeting that part of this reason is that medical rides, that's not all of it, but as part of it, medical rides have gone up quite a bit. The Red Cross used to have volunteers that would transport people who needed to go to a doctor who didn't have a way to get there. Or for chemotherapy or radiation or, lots of different reasons. And the Red Cross is not doing that anymore. And so I think they had no place else to go, so they were coming to us. And so we took them on, and we've been giving people rides to a lot of different places. It's not only that, but I think, Terry, you did a study that 50% of our bus transportation is still here to the community center, right?
Yeah.
And 35% is medical.
We're trying to figure out why it's just increased tremendously. What I did was go back and kept track of where everybody was going, and pretty casual study, but I was surprised 50% of the people that use our bus service are actually coming to the community center, and I think that's a big increase from what it was. About 35% are for medical appointments, and then the balance is just other appointments, hair appointments, some of the other examples.
To the bank.
The bank, they may need a ride
Shopping.
to the bank.
Wine.
The shopping, yeah, you're right, is other, but 50% is actually coming here, which I think just the general use of the facilities here. The other increase I've seen is, without certainly getting into any names, I know individually at least 10 people within the last 6 months that have just had to give up the car. And I think as the population gets older, we're just going to see this trend continue. People who come to the community center 3-4 times a week that now don't drive. So that means we're wanting to get them to bring them to the community center to continue to do their exercise programs or anything. Sometimes some people are picking up 4 times a week. The use has definitely increased again. This happened last year, and I remember coming forward, that's when we did get more hours for the bus driver. And I'm not sure where we want to go with it. I'm just bringing it to your attention before it becomes an issue. I guess it's a good thing. We're providing a service that people really need and use. But it's going to start getting to a point where we're getting close to, I'm pushing the drivers as much as we can. Without, certainly, they drive safely and that type of thing, but, we're starting to hit a maximum. It's just something I think we need to look forward, what we're going to be doing in the next 6 months to a year with the bus program. It's really growing.
Terry, why do you think that has the 50%, is that an increase? If 50% of all trips is people coming to the center, is that more than, say, last year?
It's just more than when I really sat down and looked at the figures,
More than
I
you
thought there
thought.
were more medicals.
Yeah.
I thought there were more other, and it was a statistic. I was surprised when I really sat down and looked at it. Again, I think some of that has increased because these individuals, I know, they mostly were coming here, and they no longer, either their family or they have made the decision they really Or in one case, I kind of made the decision when I found the car up in the curb. You know, I suggested it, you know, might be a good idea for them to start using the bus. That the bus is there for them, and they really shouldn't be driving.
But I'm just trying to get a handle on the increase, the reason for the increase, if in fact it is an increase. Is the population that we're serving in seniors older, old enough, getting older generally, so that they have to be giving up their car, they're no longer safe
That's
to
one
drive?
factor. Some is just expanding, more and more people doing programs, coming in, having needs for medical.
Well, not the medical,
Not the
I'm
medical,
talking
the
about
ones coming
the
here?
people, the 50% of the rides that come here.
I would say a portion of increase of programs, but I think a large is just people having to give up their cars.
Okay,
Because the
so-
population is getting older, so.
So that's an older, the
drive
reason is an
themselves.
older population.
And they're the older people, those are the people in their
Right.
70s and 80s that were
Right.
driving, that are now
Careful.
not driving.
So, okay. So that, if that's a trend, then that is likely to continue. So next year, it could be even higher. A proportion of the,
That's what
of the
I'm worried
trips
about.
could be, right, could be 60% of people who use the bus come here. Now, the other reason for that could also be that they like our programs and that the word is
And that's a
getting
big
out.
part of it as well.
And that's probably likely. More things, I mean, look at all the things they can come to. When we see your report, we can see all the many different trips and mystery trips and theater trips and everything.
Right.
So it would also seem that more people are interested. Do you find generally more people coming to programs, to senior programs?
I mean, the trips and activities are definitely filling. I mean, we have, you know, higher numbers probably in the programs, and the meal, you know, programs, more people are coming to eat. The breakfast, I think that's, you know, one we're getting into the meal part, but the numbers are way up.
So where I was going with all of that then is, as we consider the use of our buses and our resources going to transportation, if we are a service that operates here, that wants people to come here to start out with anyway, to senior programs, rather than our being a medical transport system. So I think that it's germane then for us to consider that, that as a priority. Getting people to come to the programs here, getting them to be able to do things as they age and have to give up their cars. I don't want for us to consider ruling out taking people to medical, but that could be done by another program, not
Well, yeah, I
necessarily.
mean, they're looking, that's what seems to be naturally happening, is they're coming here, 50%.
Yeah.
That, like I said, that was a figure I was surprised at. I thought we did other things. You know, the others were higher, and it's not, they're coming here.
But that's a good thing, because that
Yeah,
means
oh, yeah.
we're providing a service that's needed about senior programs coming here.
Well, and the last thing you want when an older person gives up a car is to have them feel isolated. 'Cause
Right.
that's why they don't want to give up the car,
Right.
because they're going to feel, and some of them probably, you know, maybe should not be driving. The family agrees, or.
Yes, we
you
are
know,
very
you know.
familiar with that in our
And I've
family.
even, you know, through Triad, told the police that, you know, that's something they can do when they are approached by a family member. Sometimes approaches the police. How do you handle that situation? And I make sure they know what, you know, be sure to tell them what we have. We're, you know, we're happy to come and get them. Doesn't mean they're gonna have to be at home. We'll come and get them. They can come down here and go shopping on Thursdays. We take a large group shopping. We have two shopping buses, 2 loads. And we can take them places.
There is a sidebar. Part of the problem too is because of the increase in rides and not having the bus drivers always available because they're out all over the place. Terry ends up, she has the license now, and so she ends up having to leave her post, you know, doing her normal job to go transport people. And you said it's probably a few times a
It
week on
happens a
average.
couple times a week, it
Yeah.
depends on the situation, but if, you know, if we are running behind and somebody's gonna be late, I'll go grab, you know, the car. And did you tell them about we haven't gotten into the car thing, you're gonna fill them in later on that route? Because it did get approved today, just so you know, the van, so.
The green van has been replaced
um,
or added to.
yeah.
For transportation, yeah, we haven't used that for
We
over a
haven't
year
used
for
that for
transporting
seniors,
seniors. But we,
We've used the blue car.
Yeah.
But we did get approved this morning by the selectmen. We're gonna purchase a town and country van with
Which
town
we had
and
in the
senior
budget.
funds. It's in the budget, so that's, hopefully in the next 2 weeks, we'll have
Okay.
that vehicle to use too.
So when you have to pitch in and help, is that to take someone to a medical appointment, or is that to go get someone to come here for lunch or for a
Varies,
trip?
you know, somebody may you know, bus driver's running late and somebody's got a doctor appointment, you know, we can't be late for doctor appointments, those are priorities. Or I have gone and picked up somebody who needs to come here for lunch, and, you know, we're just running behind, so I'll grab the car and go over to Sachem Hollow and pick up a few people. Or I try to do the ones close to town, you know, I try not to. And we've adjusted the schedule. We have several people that live in a certain area and they want to come in the morning, and it's like, okay, you can come in the morning, but you all have to come together. So that we make one trip and we do, you know, a certain route. We have several routes like that.
Okay.
So we've, you know, made it as efficient as possible, but I just, it's a big part of what we do, a very big part of what we do.
Well, I think it's an issue that's important enough from a commission perspective. We have to take a look at the whole transportation issue, not only what happens locally and things that we've committed to do and continue to do, but I'm a little bit concerned about the time that we spend and the length of trips out of town. And we don't have a policy that addresses that. And I think one of the things we might need to do as a commission, similar to what we did with the Jacobs Beach project, is set up a subcommittee to work with you. And whoever may or may not want to serve on that, I'd certainly offer up my name, because I have some ideas about where we might want to go, and anybody else who wants to participate, so that we put a policy in place. And I think we have to do that as quickly as possible, because we're going to have a budget process coming up fairly soon. So in preparation for not this year's budget, but obviously for next year's budget. So I'd like to take, make an assessment, see what's available to us. And I know you and I have talked, Terry, a little bit.
There's Red Cross isn't doing any more. There's
Yeah, I
not
know.
a lot available.
I'll-
I'm looking into it as well. There's not. a lot
Yeah,
out
so did
there.
I. I sent
Yeah,
Terry and Rick a
sadly.
note. So, but on the other hand,
There is a need.
there is a need, but I don't know that, I don't know that it's the Guilford Park and
Right.
Recreations Department to
fill it.
satisfy a need to go to Southington, Connecticut. That's just me. So I think we need to discuss that as a commission and find out what other towns do when they do get a situation like that. Who do they usually refer them to? And see where we're to go from there, so we can establish some kind of a policy. I was talking to my son's mother-in-law, and I think I mentioned this to Rick. She comes from a town in New Jersey, and in addition to their seniors program, they offer for, I don't want to say in the form of dues, it's just a thought, where if they think they need medical transportation, they buy a card for the year, which helps defer the town's costs to transport those people and to maintain the vehicles and pay for those drivers. I mean, I'm not saying that's what we do, but, I'm sure there are a lot of creative alternatives out there. And we need to get together and focus on addressing it and go from there. So I will offer up my name and whomever else. I don't know, Jack, if you want to participate,
I'd be
Rose?
happy to serve.
Yeah, I'll be down with you.
So,
Rose, Ralph. and
yeah,
Jack.
they would be primary, and I'll do the same thing like I did with the Jacobs Beach Committee, because I do have a couple of things I'd like to offer up and say, so. And then I'll put the ball in your court, in Rick's court. I think most of us, we're around. So it's not like you have to worry about a school schedule or anything else. To set up, we'll get a kickoff meeting going and start to get prepared for the whole budget process. Because I think it's very important, and I think it's something we have to decide, and then we have to make a formal announcement about, so we don't surprise people. So if we're gonna change our policy, starting January 1st or April 1st next year, somebody doesn't come walking in and say, surprise, well, you didn't send the van for me and I didn't know about it. So we gotta make sure we address that issue. That's my suggestion.
There's also the possibility of a means-tested
Correct?
program.
Absolutely.
But I liked one thing you mentioned, Terry, because I was going to bring it up. Another thing is, maybe we need to establish routes so that we're not randomly responding to, just something to look at. And if we got to go out and look at some kind of automated system that, would generate bus routes for us, then let's do it. I mean, just another idea that happened to pop up when you mentioned scheduling. Because I'm sure that's time consuming on your
Yes.
staff and your parts also, right?
Well, we have, for dispatch, I only have 18 hours, so I also serve as bus driver and dispatch many
Yeah.
times too.
Yeah.
Because when the dispatch isn't there, then I dispatch. I take the
And
information.
it could be random. I mean, if we could put some kind of a formal process in place for the standard, we know people are coming 3 or 4 days a week, and establish routes just based on that, and handle the exceptions on an individual basis, that might be able to save you some time.
Yes.
But it's something we gotta look at. That's just my thoughts.
Well, like Meals on Wheels, they have
Absolutely.
trip 2,
Yes.
trip 3, trip 4, and it's always the same in neighborhoods,
Same route.
although the people getting the meals.
Which sounds like it's something we're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we certainly combine
Absolutely.
them. Well, there's certain routes we're able to combine.
But I still feel that there's another organization that is more appropriate to do medical appointments, whether it's a volunteer kind of organization, a group of volunteers who are organized to provide medical transport, or another nonprofit. I just really feel that although the Red Cross gave it up, there might be another organization that would take it up.
Step up to do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
including that new organization that is, it's called the Village or something. We had a presentation by someone here a couple
Yeah,
of
I
years
remember
ago.
that, yeah.
Yes, Carl's involved, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Carl
that's, I don't think that,
involved.
Well, there were
Sorry,
two,
this
there were
Oh,
two
oh,
that,
yeah.
yeah.
yes, but there were two organizations that were in the process of being formed that would help people to stay at home. Now, obviously, getting help to get to medical is one of those things, so perhaps that's something that they could take on, the surviving, whatever the surviving organization
Right.
was.
So those are all things to look into, absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's important and critical. It's an issue that has to be addressed. We have to standardize our response to how we're gonna do things and put it in place and make sure that we give the citizens in town, the seniors in particular, make sure that they're aware of the changes that
Oh,
potentially
absolutely.
could be made so they can start to make their own plans. And you know what? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. And we're gonna have repercussions one way or the
Yeah,
other,
it's a big need
so.
out there.
But we have to make the decision that we think is right for 90% of the population and go for it, as opposed to the exceptions to the rule, or the 35%, let me change that number, where we have to run on a medical to Southington or Bridgeport Hospital or wherever, so.
But I still feel that we have a responsibility as running a senior program to make sure that unmet needs, we do everything we can not to meet those needs directly, but help get them met. I mean, we can't just say, oh, well, there are people who can't get to medical, too bad it's not in our responsibility. We wouldn't want to do that.
Well, what does Tammy do? I mean, what is the,
Social
Why don't we-
services,
why don't we all- why don't we
isn't that a
just-
social service?
yes, it is, definitely
Yeah, why
that.
don't we just
Yeah.
get into our subcommittee and then we'll hash it all out.
It should be done at subcommittee.
Okay. Anything else, Tara?
The meals
The meals.
reports, did you have any questions on those?
I just haven't seen it, so.
There's a 2011-12 and then 2012-13 summary, because we finished off the year.
It's this one here.
Numbers are down.
Yeah.
The 2012-13, as you see, we have a $23,000 a year subsidy from the town. This year, we used almost 19,000 of it. So there is 4,000 that would be turned back to the town. The primary reason for that, not because I don't necessarily think we should ask for less in the subsidy. This was an unusual year. We had a hurricane and a major storm. And during that period, we were serving as a shelter and as the community. And if you notice at the bottom there, we're under June, it says corrected expense. We were reimbursed by the town and ultimately FEMA, $10,000 for all the food that was used during that time. So I think that accounts for why
Yes.
there was that, it was an unusual year. So I think if we had had a normal year, we would have ended up using that whole subsidy. But we were reimbursed for so much for that period, and it actually ended up helping us, bumping it up a little bit.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I think part of the budget process, you know what, I'm gonna address that later on, because I have a letter here that I'm gonna paraphrase and tell who it's from, and then maybe give some general idea to the public as to how we go about doing things in the process we do, planning for budgets and how we set fees and that kind of stuff, because I've got some correspondence that's questioning how we do things and whether they find different prices in different places, but I'll talk about that later, so. Anything else?
Well, the other thing that's helping somewhat with the revenue too is the breakfast program that has
well-
Seems to be
expanded.
growing.
And we're getting a lot of people now, and that actually ends up helping because breakfast food is a little less expensive. And so I think that's helping it too.
So if you look at that, when in Terry's report there, it says the coffee breakfast report people served. So the first column, the $10,106, Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the money that came in
Right.
last fiscal year for just breakfast. Granted, there were expenses, but that's, the revenue offset, more than offset the expenses, and was applied toward, we don't separate breakfast and lunch, the revenue all goes to the same place, so breakfast helps subsidize the lunch to some extent. And then the number of people, you see, is
That's
3,369
increased dramatically.
breakfasts.
It's
And,
those exercise ladies.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know?
But I've gone down there some days and he's got 20, 25 people. Sometimes there's almost more people for breakfast than lunch.
Yeah.
So I think the reason we want to bring it to your attention is that when we get to the budget process, there are two ways that I think we can go. One is we don't do the kind of breakfast we're doing now because it's getting hard for the guys. They got to do breakfast, Meals on Wheels, and lunch. And when we used to get 5 or 6 people came in, had a pancake, because now you get 20. They're trying to get lunch ready for Meals on Wheels, and they got, like Terry said, they got to collect the money. It means they got to take off their gloves or put new gloves on once they collect the money. Not a big deal, but it's a process. You got to be sanitary. They collect them, the $1, $4, whatever the people are paying for their coffee or breakfast. Put that into the cash register, and then go back and work on the meal they're preparing for Meals on Wheels and the lunch here. And so it's getting to the point where it's growing like everything else. Like the bus trips are growing, the breakfast numbers are growing. And it's getting to the point where the guys are having trouble getting it all done. And so we have to either look at trying to get some increased hours so we can, or get somebody who just does breakfast so the other guys are working lunch, they don't do the breakfast stuff maybe somehow. I'm not sure how we do that yet, but it seems to be something that people are liking. Like you mentioned that the folks come down from exercise class and other people come in, and it's not limited to seniors because that's not subsidized. So anybody can come and have breakfast if they want. I think there's some church groups that have come over sometimes. They might have a meeting at the Congregation Church or something, they come over and have a little breakfast and they go to their meeting. That's happened. And so it's a good thing because the dollar amount is helping subsidize the lunches, but the numbers are getting up there where it's getting to be a little hard for the guys to get it all done.
What time do they start serving breakfast?
Is it 7:30, Terry, or 8? I don't know.
I've been in, when I've gotten in a little before 8, there's some
Yeah.
people down there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it goes till about 10:30, so they'll fix breakfast.
So just again, we want to bring it up,
Something
something we
to
may
think
have to have some conversation about, maybe when we get to the budget process. So it's a good thing, it's a good problem, I guess. But it's getting to the point where it's getting a little challenging for the guys to get everything done they have to get done in there.
Well, if it's just the money thing, I bet you could find somebody who would be willing to work a couple of hours for breakfast just to do the cashiering.
Just to do the cash register.
Yeah,
A
or
senior
get
or
them a
someone.
stool and tell them how much everything is, and I'll bet you could find someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a discussion about potentially some of the staff members there trying to extend some of their hours, but keep them under the, where we'd have to either elevate them or start paying benefits. And we've got a couple hours. We think one of the options we talked about was extending hours. They only serve it 4 days a week, so 4 hours a week instead of 25 hours. So, but there are other opportunities too, so.
Anyway, just inform you of that.
Okay. The only thing I'll comment on, I spoke with Ellen the other day, and I guess we've had increased enrollments, like we were just alluding to, in all the sessions of summer camp this year.
Yeah, I think she showed that in her report.
She mentioned
She
it.
mentioned her,
Yeah.
2,000 in camp and beach passes. And, yeah, camp definitely is up this year, over last year. I know I'm not sure what's in the session started today, but the last session was 125, I believe, or 124, something like that, which is, that's very good. I think a lot of it is the camp has a good reputation. It's been around for about 20, 21 years now, I think. And I think the improvements to the beach, the publicity we've had about the things we're doing down there to make that a better place, I think that has some impact on it. I have to think so. I was down there yesterday, and there were well over 100 people there. I went to do a little kayaking with my daughter and son-in-law, and I was like, I found one parking space. The last one, I got the last one. That was at probably about 3 o'clock we were down there.
Good.
And the place was packed. And the numbers are clearly way, way higher than they were in previous years.
Oh, yes. Even earlier, like at 2 o'clock, there were, I counted 6 umbrellas on the beach. And you could go there any other Sunday, hot Sunday, and see none.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, just the umbrellas alone, but there were more people than there
Right.
were, many
Yeah.
more people.
Mhm.
I mean, it really looked like a real beach, like people were there.
They're using
They
it.
were in the water, you know, wow.
They haven't watched Sharknado yet. It's Shark Week on
Oh.
Learning Channel.
Okay.
So the machine is cleaning the beach well?
We
We're
do
happy
it
with
once a
it?
week. Yeah, it's doing a good job, I think. You can,
Good.
you know, you see it for about 2 days, and then you know it's kind of gone. You know, because people walk on it. It's like the freshly fallen snow. You know, it looks nice at first, and there's the footsteps, and you don't see it anymore. But again, on Sunday, you can still see where people weren't sitting too much. You can still see the groomed area where the you know they're still there. Yeah, we're doing it every week. We did Daniel Avenue twice.
Oh,
Last
yes,
week
we
did the,
saw it. I said, Larry said, well, is that the new beach cleaning machine? It's green, right? It's a little green thing, and it's on a,
Right.
it's being towed, and
It's,
it,
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it's got a
Yeah.
green tractor, yeah.
I've seen him there twice, actually.
Mhm. So, actually, if you don't mind me mentioning it, Daniel Avenue Beach, I had one of the folks who lives down there email me twice about incidents. I don't know if you've seen them down there, but somebody was backing up they're driving on the beach. And
Yes.
somebody backed a trailer onto the beach to unload a boat. And
Yes.
this individual questioned the guy, he said, oh, it's a public beach, I can do this. So she sent me an email, I said, you absolutely cannot do that. You can't just drive a vehicle on a beach. And then she emailed it again today, somebody did it with kayaks, was driving onto the beach to unload their kayaks. So we're gonna put, I think for now, we're gonna put a boulder there. We could put a chain, but I don't like the way chains look. You know, we have them in other places, but 2 posts and a chain. If we can put a boulder there so that when we're going to groom the beach, we're there with a loader anyway. We can move it to get on there to do what we need to do, but it would block vehicles that shouldn't be there from driving onto the beach.
Right.
It'll look natural. I think, you know, I'd rather go that direction for now, try it out, than put up a couple of posts and a chain.
Would you like to know who the people are so that you could contact them and tell them directly that they're not to launch their?
Oh, yeah, if we could find out.
Oh,
Sure.
I definitely know who it is.
Oh, okay.
I would have called you, but it's a Saturday, it was a Saturday. They got stuck on the beach, actually, and could not offload the boat off of the trailer for hours until the tide came in.
Huh, wow. Interesting sidebar.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe let me know if I can
Okay.
contact them.
Yeah, we should address a letter to them, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
pictures?
Heads up, give them a heads up.
Watch out.
Wasn't Larry, was it?
Okay, correspondence, there's a lot here, so I'm gonna skim through them. And a letter from Rick with respect to the tourism kiosk, restating the commission's position with respect to the
Have we heard
kiosk.
anything back?
Huh?
Have we heard anything back?
I don't know.
No.
Make sure they understand where we were coming from. A letter from Rick to John with respect to use of the fairgrounds for the fireworks. That was sent out. Also a letter thanking Pat Todd for helping clean up some of
great.
the weeds around the Jacobs Beach. Rick asked her if she wanted to extend the contract.
Well, yeah, it's just, I asked about maybe, because she's in the Leeds Island Garden Club, and I thought, you know, if they were willing to do it, maybe we could give them a donation or something, but she did check into it, and she happened to be there and on her own, just decided to do it one day.
Oh, that's nice.
A letter from Rick to Wendy North with respect to the response of the letter of concerns at Chaffin Island State Park, and basically stating our position about the costs associated with staffing and manning the position, and that commissioners would be visiting on a regular basis to monitor the attendance. And I think we're going to make some specific efforts on Memorial Day weekend, because that seems to be the one year that we've had some consistent issues down there, correct?
That's been a weekend that's been pretty big, and I know the letter she addressed to us that time, I did check, there was a wedding ceremony, not reception, wedding ceremony, and then a group picnic from another group there later on. So there were 2 events that day down there, and it's kind of rare. I mean, it's not, I could look in this Get calendar and tell you how many times
I've been
we
there
scheduled
twice,
stuff there.
and I didn't see anything that concerned me, so
Mhm.
I'm sure it's more the exception rather than the rule. So we'll just have to deal with the exceptions when they occur.
Yeah, and before you move on, Ralph.
Yes.
Maybe because I'm new on the commission, I've been down there about 15 times since the last meeting.
Meeting?
Yeah, and at no time did I see any refuse on the ground. And dogs were always on leashes, you know, and there was no conflict or hazard between the kayaks and the boats, which would have required us to, move the kayak. But as far as cars, the most severe instance was yesterday, Sunday, great day, and there were about 28 cars there when I went.
That's pretty crowded.
And it was a family party for the most part. Family meeting, little kids, up to 70 or 80-year-old. And, they cleaned up the place. But, apart from that, there were, 10 vehicles, 9, 10, 9, that's about the average, And I think we ought to renew our suggestion, though, to put a handicap sign there. Because, there were handicapped people, handicapped cars with the signature on it. And there actually are a couple of no parking signs on Chaffinch Island Road. There's one near Mrs. North or the Brown Boatyard, but it's obscured by 2 trees. You can hardly see it, but it's no parking. And my guess was it was put there so that people with boats could go into her and out of her boatyard. And then there's also a no parking sign up by the other marina as well. Again, by the entrance and exit. Again, probably so people could bring their trailers in without having a problem. But I think we owe her a lot of thanks for bringing all that to our attention. She's a good neighbor.
Well,
They own the boat
we
yard.
can't see the signs, that's,
That was one of her complaints, that people parked on the road itself.
Right, exactly.
Was it a police issue, right? Oh, on the road going into in
Yeah.
Chaffinch Island
Yeah.
or on Chaffinch Island
No,
Road before
on
the
Chaffinch
park?
Island Road, as you go toward the beach. or
Before you get to the park, though, right?
Before the
you get
sign
to
for the park.
There's
Yeah.
one on the right side for the Mayberry Marina,
Yeah.
and then as you get closer to the north of the Browns Boatyard, there's one on the left side, maybe 50 feet from her, the driveway or the entranceway.
well, maybe
But
those signs
it's
should be.
covered, it's covered by two spruce trees.
Who would be responsible to move those so that they're visible?
Police department.
Public Works would have to clear the.
I would think-
Town road, yeah,
Yeah.
so.
Public
yeah,
Works
so
would have
it'd
to
be-
clear the trees off.
I mean,
Police
it's
or
on
public
town
works.
property, it's not on her property, but.
Right, but it's
the
not
question
Parks and
of
Rec property.
Doing something with the trees and
Public Works.
maybe cleaning the sign.
Yeah.
A quick call to Jim Portley would probably solve the
Yeah.
problem.
Absolutely.
That's a good suggestion, yeah. More correspondence. A thank you to Tom Terrabell, our police chief, for the support the police department gave us during the fireworks. And according to Rick, they provided a great level of security, and they were very, very visible. And I guess they were interacting with the crowd also. I have another piece of correspondence that wasn't included in the package that came directly to me at home. And basically, I'm going to leave names and out of it, but explain the process. We had some issues with the price of our beach passes that people secured information from on the web. And I just want to let people know here and now that part of when we set our rates for our programs, our beat passes and everything else are part of our budget process. We look at those every year. The fact that there's a document that's available by I don't want to use the term of the particular vendor, by using various search engines that bring up documents from 2010 that have erroneous prices on it, I don't feel that we should be held accountable for it. Our website is accurate.
Okay.
It currently reflects what our current fees are, and it's a simple phone call. It'll take you it's as easy to dial 453-8068 and ask how much the beach passes are as it is to use a search engine to search for Guilford Beach passes. So I don't think we should be held accountable, nor are we responsible for what people search for and the types of responses they get. We are responsible for the content of our website. So, I'm going to leave that at that. And then there's another letter from Hammonasset Beach State Park Committee and the Shoreline Greenway Trail. Did you get this?
No.
Basically, they're having a celebration of the walkway across the marsh. A key link in the Hammonasset section of Shoreline Greenway Trail, Thursday, August 22nd, 2013 at 10 a.m. at the entrance to the walkway beside the park entrance road. So I'll turn that one over to you. And I don't know if do we have a Greenways Trail representative? Who's?
Not on this, from this commission, I don't think.
Okay.
The person on the staff who's been most closely associated with the trail is Ellen, because she has planned some walks with them on their regular monthly Saturday walks. She's planned that as part of one of Park and Rec program as a joint effort.
So you may want to give that to her.
She might be interested in that. It's a very exciting section of the trail that goes over the marsh that's been built by volunteers. It's a beautiful piece of the trail.
Ralph, one other thank you letter that I think didn't get into the packet, but the fire department was very instrumental in helping us out with the fireworks.
Okay, yeah, I didn't see it. I had two from the police, so
Me
maybe,
too. I did
Yeah.
too.
maybe one was from the fire
Yeah,
department, the
it's
other
not
one
my
was from the
packet
police.
either, but I did send one to them.
You want me to read it?
No, I want to read it. Just read it. I want you to read
Oh,
it.
So I just want to be sure that we recognize that they were there much of the day. I mean, Paul Fazzino, the assistant fire marshal, he was there all day long, from noon till, probably left about 10:30, 11 o'clock that night. So without the fire department's help, obviously we couldn't do that either. It's just coordination and cooperation of a lot of different departments to make that happen.
well, in all my years as on the Park and Rec Commission and chairman, there's always been cooperation between Park and Rec, Public Works, the police department, and the fire department. So, it's almost, sometimes it goes unnoticed, but I appreciate you mentioning it. The minutes. Oh, I'm sorry, I got one more piece of correspondence. Or are we bringing this up later on? No, I'll bring it up now. As Terry mentioned before, it was a letter from Rick and Terry, from Terry to Rick, and then eventually evolved into the purchase of a new vehicle, not a new, let me rephrase that, of a 2012 Chrysler Town & Country van from Westbrook Honda with 23,716 miles on it, that's all, 23,000, with a side step installed for passengers and drivers to step and down. And with that, we got a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty at a very reasonable price, and which had been budgeted for in our process anyway. We kind of wanted to get this done in time for the meeting this morning with the selectmen, so we met quickly about this on Friday, and it's a shame on me, but I probably should have sent out an email, but I didn't find out about it until Thursday or Friday, that we had to do this by Friday, so. But
And I
it's
should
done.
mention that the seniors have contributed towards it.
Yes, and I don't remember what the amount was, but yes, they
They did
contributed.
make some
Yep.
contribution towards it.
Yes, they did. The minutes.
So just could I ask,
Yes,
is that in addition to the green van? This is a new vehicle for
It's
the
a new vehicle
department.
for
that-
transporting seniors. Yeah, the green van, we're not using it, we haven't used it for
Okay.
quite a while, almost a year now, probably.
Okay.
Because it's a 1997, and it has some issues with it.
Only
Doesn't have a
seniors, what if you
registration
needed
issue?
to go
Well,
down
we
and
want
get
to,
some
we'd like
kids
to
from
keep
camp?
that, the other one, we're not gonna trade it in, no one's good for nine, for.
Right, forget
you
it,
know,
you wouldn't
the
get
age of it.
anything, right.
We want to keep that one going for the rec staff to use for bringing stuff to the beach, you know, for camp or whatever else. It's got, you know, good cargo capacity in the back there. The one that Terry and the bus drivers liked about the van we're going to get is it has a,
Well.
in the cargo, a well in the cargo space, so you can put a wheelchair in there if you need to, or a walker or
Walkers.
something.
Oh.
It could fit in there.
Good.
And so that's why they like that specific one. They went and checked several and test drove.
Yeah, we went on
Lawrence
3-4
Public
quotes.
Works.
Do the seats go down? Can you?
Yeah, they go down flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the same van that ABC has.
Is it?
Yes, exactly the same. Not quite as new, but.
Yeah, so this was it was a good find. And Dennis Marin, one of our bus drivers, he went around to a few places, did a little research, and he found this one. And Terry and I think one of the seniors went to look at it. He brought it to Public Works, have Ralph Casey take a look at it, make sure everything was good on it, and he gave it a thumbs up. And so we've been approved, and hopefully we'll have it in a couple of weeks.
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Agenda item number 4, approval of minutes.
Can't do that.
Can't
I
do
move
that.
that we accept the minutes as read.
Can we do that?
We can't do
No.
We don't have a
No,
quorum.
we
can't
don't
do
have
that.
a quorum.
We don't have a quorum. We can't approve
And we
bills if we
can't-
don't have a quorum.
Okay, and we can't do the bills.
No.
How did we handle this the last time? The minutes are one thing, and it's just, we can, but do I have to,
Email vote on the bills?
I don't think we can. Didn't we have this discussion in the past about email voting on the
Yeah,
bills?
you're not supposed to vote by phone or email or anything like that.
Well, can I just explain a quick thing about the bills? That you see them in two different formats.
The new and the old.
Yeah, and so the finance director met with me a couple of weeks ago, and I guess we're one of the few departments that wasn't doing our own bills, that, I didn't realize, I thought the finance department was doing it for all departments, but they said almost everybody else is doing them internally, so they want us to start doing that. So, we have a little bit of a combination of things, because there's certain information that Bonnie didn't have, that they had. For this one, we're gonna gradually change it over. I think Ellen's gonna be working with them about getting a format that'll work for us. So the list that you see that Bonnie typed up, which shows 29,565.82 there. So in the Munis version, which is the one from the finance department, there's some things in here that are not in what Bonnie had. So like payroll and a few other things, like, you know, because the finance department takes care of payroll. We don't, you know, we don't have that in our computer, so we have to get that number from them anyway. But so what we have to do is add to go to page 2 of the Munis report, where MTD actual, month-to-date actual, that column all the way down.
88,978?
Yeah, actually to 89,113.23.
Yeah.
Because the other one, they subtract out whatever revenue came in that month. So if we add that 89,113.23 to the 29,001 that Bonnie has, so the total is 118,679.05.
Can't approve it.
We can't, but that's what the number would be, so
Now,
you know.
what's the problem with this not being approved? And if I have to wait till my next meeting, which is the second week in September, if I can't do it by email or by phone?
I'm not sure, I think.
Can
we have
people
to-
walk in and put it in writing?
Do you know how that works, Kathy, with? I'm not sure.
You know, 'cause I mean,
We
I-
basically
you
need
just
to
wait
do
till
it because it's
September.
gotta go to Board of Finance for the third Monday of the month. And, I mean, you can't have these vendors wait 2 months to get paid.
We're missing 3 people, is that right?
Well, we're missing one.
John,
We
Sue.
need one more person to do the vote.
Yeah.
That would be 5.
We're missing John.
Sue.
Suzanne.
Joanne. I mean Judy.
Judy,
Oh,
Jenny.
Judy, yes.
Jen.
Judy, Suzanne, Sue, and John. John's the only one that's excused.
Correct.
And Jenny, yeah.
Can you deputize Shannon from one meeting?
Suzanne isn't downstairs at the 350th committee meeting, is she?
Yes, 5 aren't here.
Ooh,
Who's that?
Suzanne.
Suzanne McDermott.
So it's
Is she
I
down?
don't know if they're still
Downstairs?
meeting or not. They start at 5:30.
Oh.
Did you check, John, did you notice that Suzanne was in the 350th meeting when you happened to peek in?
I didn't, but I'll go down and look.
Well, you don't have to, I was just, it's probably over by now.
Probably don't.
Yeah.
We need
So,
a
yeah,
vote.
so we're missing
We
five.
need, we need a vote. I'll be right back.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Can we move on while we're waiting?
Yes.
Can we move on while we're waiting?
Standing fields.
Yes.
Standing fields, Jacobs, I mean, we could probably do that.
Standing Fields Committee, Rick?
Just spent a tough summer. There was really no meeting. There were three of us at the last meeting.
For the fall leagues?
No, we're meeting,
Oh.
that we're doing Wednesday. But the only thing the group is working on is a drainage program for, project for the Baldwin Fields, those upper fields there where, the water runs down the hill and floods out that Little League field. So that's the next project that they're working on. There's some money in the budget for that. Yes, in a meeting, I don't know if you're coming or not, Ralph, but, because I know you're not doing Legion baseball anyway, but we're meeting Wednesday morning at 8.
No, I have rehab.
Okay. And that's where we're just setting up who has what fields for the fall. It's a little of a challenge this year, as you know, because the high school project. So three of the fields, the baseball field, the practice football field, and the field 5, the other upper field there, which soccer normally uses in the fall. Those are all out of service, so it's going to be a little bit of a crunch because the high school is going to be looking for space off campus for some of their sports, and youth sports doesn't have those fields to use this year, so it's going to be a little crunch this year. So anyway, Jacobs will going to be there, the athletic director, make sure that everybody knows what they're going to need, and we work it out every year. We meet and we get it worked out so everybody knows what they got and what's available. So
Well, 2 comments on that. My first comment is it's a positive one. Thank the Park and Rec Department for last minute action taking place where we had to move, we had no choice, to move 2 senior Legion games home. We played them at Adams where we had some concerns about the overall distance in the field to right field. It turned out not to be a problem. And quite frankly, the fields were in great shape. My biggest disappointment, and you could express this to me, and I'm going to say it on camera to the Standing Fields Committee, is there was no reason that American Legion Baseball, both the junior and senior team, could not have played on that high school field this year. They haven't done a single thing. They took 2 pieces of fence down to do the groundbreaking ceremony and hadn't been touched. And that was very, because
Yeah.
how I pushed and said, give me a firm date, give me a firm date. The Legion season was over 2 weeks ago. We could have
Yeah.
had both teams play.
and what did they say, June 28th or something,
Yeah,
or whatever?
June 15th is what they originally told me, yeah. And here we are in August.
Well, now, I was there this morning, Ralph, and there's no home run fence anymore, and they had some kind of machine that was crushing up the backstop. I mean, it was amazing. It had this thing that, like this jaws, it ripped the pole out of the ground. It was big posts, and it just like bent it like it was a what do you call it, a pipe cleaner or something. It was
Did they
amazing.
start any work on the new field in the back? That they said
No, I
is
think
gonna
they're
be ready for
starting
April next year?
starting next week, or I think because well, they're doing something because they this is why I went up there. Tony and I had to meet with the contractor to be sure all the irrigation is off. Going to start bulldozing some of those fields, and they wanted to make sure that water was going to come gushing out.
Okay.
If you don't mind, one other thing, Ralph, you just made me think of it when you mentioned how the baseball field was in good shape. I got a phone message from Mark Donovan from Little League this morning, and he had huge praise for our maintenance guys for the district tournament that they held. And district representatives from whoever, I'm not sure who runs the districts, but not our local guys, but whoever the regional guy is, he said the
District 9,
accolades.
Middletown.
So the accolades that they were pouring on the condition of that field because of what our maintenance guys did. They had gone out a couple of days before and they made a nice crisp edge along every base path, and they were there over the weekend getting it ready for the games, which they paid for. We charged them for the overtime for that. And he just had a lot of praise, and so I passed it on to Tony today to make sure the guys are all aware of that they're very, very pleased how good the field looked.
Great.
Rick, over at the high school, the 2 practice fields aren't being used. The 2 softball fields aren't being used, and of course, the baseball field. Does that relieve you workers from the the time it would take ordinarily to mow those things and take care of them?
Yeah, it definitely it cuts back a little on that. We still have the one field we're taking care of, the, what's called the Maturo, the field hockey field.
Yeah.
We're still doing that. There's other areas we still mow, like around the stadium, all the grassy area around there we do. But yeah, it takes away the big mower doing some of those two fields down there, and the baseball field.
Yeah, but we're also down 3 people.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
6B, Jacobs Beach Project.
Well, Sue's not here to report.
Yeah, all we have is August 23rd, right?
Yeah, August 23rd is the dedication.
Rededication.
Rededication, yeah. But Will is working on the, completing the specifications to go out to bid for the boardwalk.
Oh, good.
Hoping to go out, we're hoping by the end of August to be able to go out to bid and have the bid opening in September. So the construction would be this fall. And also let you know that we did have some considerable septic problems down there. The septic tank kept backing up. And when it backs up, it comes through the drains in the floor. And it was happening about every 7 to 10 days, so we had to pump it 3 times this summer.
Wow.
We finally got that taken care of. We replaced the whole septic system. We got a whole new tank, new leach field. That was done last Tuesday or Wednesday. I was on vacation last week. But it was, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday that it got taken care of, and so that's done. We shouldn't have any problems with flushing anymore. But, I wanted to get that done because I said, I talked to Dennis Johnson, the health director. I said, Dennis, this is ridiculous. We can't keep pumping this out every week. We've got this nice facility down here.
And why did this happen?
This shouldn't keep backing up like this. I think it was because the leach field was shot. And it was a 1,500 gallon tank. I'm sorry, 15,000, wait, 1,500 gallon tank, yeah. And I'm just amazed if it, filled every, 10 days it was filling
So,
up.
but this had nothing to do with the renovation?
No.
This just was gonna happen anyway?
Right. It was an old tank. It was like
Okay.
40 years old or something. It was coincidental. But we wanted to be sure that, we got this nice facility there now, and having the bathroom not be functional. That's why there were 2 porta-johns there, because I ordered them about 3 or 4 weeks ago when this first
Just to
happened.
be safe.
I wanted to make sure there was something there
Yeah.
that people could use, and so they're still there, but maybe we'll take them out. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. It's looking good, though.
Was the issue of the shower, the bar shower, the one over by the playground, resolved? It was not draining?
No, well, Will just sent me a design today. He has a sort of a redesign, just cutting out some of the sod in that area and putting some stone dust there. It's really only a placeholder because when we put the boardwalk in, that's going to go there anyway.
Okay.
So I think just the way it was sloped, the water kept running down and made that one area sod muck.
Plus, it was a playground for
Yeah.
young children. When you see a mud puddle,
Yeah.
they all found it, including my great-granddaughters.
Yeah.
It's not hard.
So Will has another alternate plan for stone dust, and we could do it, or we're talking maybe in about within 2 months we're gonna have boardwalk there anyway, so we can either just let it go for now, or redo it. We want to make sure when we do the grand rededication there, that everything looks good though. So maybe what we could do is maybe shut the water off for a couple days, so let it dry out. But other than that, I think it looks good down there. We did hire a company, because our guys, as you mentioned, Ralph, we're down of people. We just didn't have guys that could have gone out and weed it, so we hired a company to do that, to weed all those plant beds. And there was a retired guy we've been hiring to go and water it 3 days a week, and he spends 2 or 3 hours there.
Good.
Watering every plant for like 2 minutes, and go on to the next one. So, that's one point that John Cunningham always made, is we've got to make sure we get those trees watered.
Yeah, you gotta
the
get it
first season.
established.
Yeah, yeah.
See, the Chittenden Park Boardwalk?
That's also in process now for DEP review. Will has filled out some of the applications and things that have to be done for that. Some of those things have been submitted, or a few others he has to submit. But a big part of it is in DEP's hands right now for review.
Well, I know that item D, town's 375th anniversary celebration, they met tonight, and I don't know if we had any representation there because she's not here at the meeting, so I gotta assume we didn't.
I didn't see her down there at the beginning.
Yeah, but
Um,
We're in touch.
we're in touch. We're in touch with Veronica. We're in touch with what's going on. I think it's fine.
Okay. The Eagle Scout projects, E?
I just heard back from Justin Clark, who's doing the Long Hill Park Barn, and he has spoken with youth football. They're gonna pay for the supplies, so they're gonna cover the cost of paint, brushes, or whatever. And he's just waiting for his final district approval, which he hopes will be within 10 days. Because I had originally told him, you
Yeah,
want to get this
but
done
not
before
pretty
youth
soon.
football's out there, and they're actually there now. They're starting their practices. So, I mean, he'll have to do it during the day, you know, before they're out there with their practice.
Mm-hmm.
But he's moving ahead with that. And the bocce court, I expect that should be finished soon. The young man who, Mike Chapman, who was doing that project, was away for a couple of weeks at a scout camp down in West Virginia. So I think all he has left to do is to put the board trim around it. And then we're going to backfill with loam, the areas, just to smooth it out. We'll seed it. We'll do that this fall.
Tourism kiosk, I read the letter before, you know, explaining the commission's position. I'm assuming there's no update on that. We haven't heard back with respect to that. Chaffick Highland Park, we talked about that briefly, Rick.
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
Senior issues, we went over that with Terry while she was here. We moved that up to staff and director reports while Terry was here, so we are going to form, like I said, a subcommittee. We've got some volunteers, and you guys can schedule that first meeting whenever you think need be. Item number 7, new business. I already talked about this, the Jacobs Beach Park dedication, 7A.
Yeah.
Anything to add?
Should we say the date out loud for the record
Yes.
and the time?
On Friday, August 23rd, correct me if I'm wrong, from 3 o'clock PM until 7 o'clock PM, there will be a rededication of Jacobs Beach with all the work that's been done prior to this year, during the year, for the new beach, for the upgrade to the beach in the park. We're gonna have food. Food vendors will be there. There'll be some music, and I think we got some items for the young kids up.
The inflatable slides and move
Inflatable
houses.
slides and that kind of stuff, so feel free to join us, August 23rd, 3 PM to 7 PM at Jacobs Beach.
And the music is Take Two and Call Me in the Morning. That's the band is Doctors.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
They're good.
they're good, yeah.
They're good, they're good,
Yeah,
they're good.
yeah.
Come and see the great job that was done by the subcommittee and our architects and our landscapers. You're gonna love it.
And the ribbon cutting ceremony is first?
I'm not, all I know is I was asked to say something.
Yeah, we haven't put an order to that yet.
Okay.
We'll have to figure that out. But I'm wondering if it might be more toward, because at 3 o'clock, there might not be a lot of people there yet.
Right.
Maybe more like around 5 or so.
Okay.
And I'm gonna dress in beach attire. Do not expect a suit.
Shorts?
Have your Hawaiian shirt.
Have a motion to adjourn?
Excuse me.
moved.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Can I just, I'm sorry, just one other quick thing I wanted to mention. We did go out to bid. We had 2 trucks that we had in our budget to bid out. We went to bid, there was only one vendor bid on it, and it was considerably over what we have budgeted. So after that, Pam Millman had sent me an email that they looked on the state bid list, and there is a Carly Ford has a state bid for 4 trucks. And for the model we're looking for an F-350 and an F-550. And their prices for the cab and chassis are very reasonable prices. So I put a call into the representative on last Monday. And then I was out the rest of the week, so I haven't heard back from him, but I'll follow up with him. So if we can purchase it on the state contract through, if we had done that, we wouldn't have to go out to bid. We have a state contract, you can just go right to that vendor. So we just have to find out that's the cab and chassis, we have to find out what it would cost to put the body on it, because you need the body for it too. And hopefully we'll be able to get it within the price that's budgeted, so.
Okay.
so I'll let
Well,
you
one
know.
other thing before we do adjourn is, I'm not concerned about the minutes because we can hold off on approving the minutes till the next meeting. But somebody's got to follow up with me and find out what the right process and or procedure is to get these bills approved. If I can do it or cannot do it via email or phone call, or we have to establish people coming into the office and just putting a document together and have commission
Call
members
a quick
sign it
meeting
underneath.
somewhere.
Or a special meeting.
A special meeting, real quick special meeting.
Okay, I'll
At the
check into
seniors'
that.
lunch.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned at 8:05 PM.
Good job, Ron.